small part of that very cargo which lies in complete shambles.
Well, of course, Shravan, I must tell you before I begin the debate today that your report from Bucha, your and Mridul and Shazia's brave and relentless reporting and investigation on Bucha has become a global talking point, and it has brought the world's attention to the horrors of the war. Thank you for bringing the truth out to all our viewers. Ladies and gentlemen, let's debate.
From the Mumbai studios of Republic TV, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate.
Arnab Goswami on the debate at 9. Presented by Amity University. Powered by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group. Ever Ready and Fujitsu General.
Good evening and welcome. The genocide at Bucha has divided the world. On the one side, those who want immediate action against Russia, and others who are silent. Now, the fact that the others are silent and not supporting Russia is a major shift. No country, not even Russia's closest allies, not even China has dismissed the genocide charge. And though militarily the news of the conflict remains more or less the same today as it has in the last couple of weeks, the intensity of this global confrontation has gone up by many more times. France, Germany, Denmark, Italy, Spain, many other countries are all, one after the other, expelling dozens of Russian diplomats. In all, over 150 Russian diplomats, ladies and gentlemen, in these countries have been asked to pack up their bags and leave. So the question is, cornered diplomatically, under great pressure militarily and feeling the strain economically, the focus is on Russia's response now. If it becomes on issues like the genocide, a case of Russia versus the world, not Russian bloc versus American bloc, if it becomes Russia versus the world, then what will Putin do? What will be his next step or his next misstep? Ladies and gentlemen, let's debate. The Bucha genocide has caused shockwaves across the world, but the horrors do not seem to end. Will Russia be held accountable? That's debate number one. Debate number two this evening. The US, the Chinese, and now the Russians, everybody is poking their nose in the Pakistan debacle. Whose Pakistan is it anyway? That's debate number two, and here are the headlines. Here are the headlines this Tuesday evening on the debate tonight.
The Russian military searched for and purposefully killed anyone who served our country.
The Bucha genocide reaches the UN Security Council. Zelensky says the real body count is yet to emerge.
This guy is brutal, and what's happening in Bucha is outrageous, and everyone's seen it.
Russia faces global anger and outrage. Countries take more measures in retaliation to the Bucha genocide.
These are the mangled remains that you see of one of the largest aircraft in the world.
For the first time on television since the war broke out, the Republic Network gets inside the Hostomel airport, the site where the world's largest plane was completely destroyed. The focus now shifts to Mariupol as Russia focuses on the east and south to completely take control of the Donbas region. And Russia now joins China to defend Imran Khan, backs the Imran regime change theory and blames America. And Pakistan security agencies dismiss Imran Khan's claim, say there is no truth to the foreign conspiracy charge. And the pictures of the mass graves and genocide from Bucha is tonight the single biggest headline around the world as more details emerge and as global powers crack down. This incident alone could be the turning point of this war. Here is where we stand tonight and then our global debate.
What you see, viewers, these are graphic images, very disturbing, of bodies that have been dumped, a mass graveyard. As you can see, bodies are still lying right now. This is exactly what Ukraine is now calling it, a genocide that has been committed by the Russian troops.
The report that has shocked the world.
There is not a single crime that they would not commit there. The Russian military searched for and purposefully killed anyone who served our country. They shot and killed women outside their houses when they just tried to call someone who is alive. They killed entire families, adults and children, and they tried to burn the bodies.
A claim that Russia has taken to UNSC and is denying genocide.
This is an outrageous situation set out in my letter to you yesterday as an official document of the Council. I would like to ask you, on what basis do you feel that you can act in such an outrageous way in contravention of all existing norms and rules?
Прежде всего о том, что у многих американских политиков, которые стояли у истоков иракской войны под известными предлогами, которые развалили Ливию вместе с партнерами по НАТО, которые вторглись в Сирию, что у этих политиков, в общем-то, с совестью не все хорошо обстоит.
This is the counter. Ukraine is giving it back to Russia. This is the video released by Ukraine showing a drone capturing what happened. Tanks seen on the streets of Bucha as civilians are allegedly targeted.
Bodies were being dumped in body bags. Is that true?
Yeah, sure. I was there just a few minutes ago. This place near the church, and if you want, you can go there and see on your own eyes.
The trail of destruction across Ukraine is only just unraveling.
Having said that, this is going to break the hearts of many aviation enthusiasts who have actually seen the building of this aircraft, and it has been completely damaged. These are the mangled remains that you see of one of the largest aircraft in the world.
You may remember I got criticized for calling Putin a war criminal. Well, the truth of the matter, you saw what happened in Bucha. This warrants him, he is a war criminal. And we have to gather all the detail so this can be have a war crime trial.
When the war began, this was the first airfield that was basically captured by the Russian army. It was the Russian army which had basically carried out their entire movement from this very airfield which they had managed to capture.
Let's debate.
On the debate this evening, Colonel Glenn Grant, former advisor to the Defense Minister of Ukraine, currently live from Riga in Latvia, Dr. Lada Rosliki, Lada Rosliki, Dr. Lada, I'm sorry about the mispronunciation. Dr. Lada from Kiev. She's founder and managing partner of Black Trident Defense and Security Consulting Group. Patrick Kugiel is senior analyst at the Polish Institute of International Affairs from Warsaw. Gabriel Norona is former special advisor for Iran at the U.S. State Department under Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, and he's executive director of the Forum for American Leadership from Washington. From Moscow, I have Nikita Menkovich, director of the Eurasian Analytical Club. Also from Moscow, Andrei Baranov, he's a well-known political observer. From New York, I'm joined by journalist Michael Tracy, and from Beijing by strategic affairs and geopolitical expert Victor Gao. Thank you very much. Starting with you, can I start with you, Mr. Baranov from Moscow? I began my program today by saying that there is nobody anywhere in the world who's standing with Russia on the issue of Bucha. The world is divided among people who are silent and people who are condemning Russia. Even people who have been supporting Russia so far, like China, are not supporting you in the case of Bucha. Russia has a lot to answer for, and the visuals really scar the soul. Calling it fake news has not worked. Does there need to be more acceptance and introspection about what has happened? Mr. Andrei Baranov, please.
Hello, Arnab. Thank you for your question. But you are using term genocide. Let me ask you, dear friends, where did you get this trash, this fake information? From American news agencies? From Ukrainian side? You just showed us films made by Ukrainian television, but you didn't show anything from Russian side. And if you did this, you saw that amount of fakes are there. When victims and cops are raising hands, you can see in the back mirror that a dead man rises, stands up and goes away. The mayor of Bucha, the day after the Russian troops left this city, and the second day and the third day, said nothing about any victims of this genocide that you tell this. Why? Because there were nothing genocide there. Please show on your panel, on your wonderful program, some films from Russian television.
I'll respond to you.
Please, Indian viewers will see it. And
I'll respond to you now. Mr. Baranov, since you made us a couple of points, actually I'm not on the debate with you, the other panelists are. But since I believe that your points are aimed at me and my network, I need to respond to you. So allow me. I'll respond to you. I will respond to you. I will respond to you. I will respond to you, Mr. Baranov. Mr. Baranov, I will respond to you.
Where their relatives?
I am responding to you.
Nobody knows.
I am responding to you.
No relatives because
I am responding to you, sir. I am responding to you. And please listen to me. Please. I am not at war with you. I am responding to you. I'll make 3 points to you. First of all, as far as I know, Bucha is in Ukraine. It's not in Russia. So if you're telling me what is the Russian version of this, my question to you will be, how many reporters from Sputnik and Russia today are in Bucha right now? None. So you say you have an alternative view. Please tell me which Russian journalist is on the ground in Bucha, which network or organization he or she represents. If there is none, then on what basis are you sourcing your news? Point number 2. I see your hand go up, Nikita. I see your hand go up. Second point to you. Second point to you. Yeah. That's what. See, I don't want to. I'm responding to you, sir. I am responding to you. You don't have to ask me the question. I am responding to you. I am responding to you, sir. Why don't you listen to me, sir? Why don't you listen to me, sir? Listen to me, Mr. Baranov. Second point to you. Second point. You are asking me from Moscow. You are asking me from Moscow. Do you have any journalists on the ground? Have they seen it? Sir, I want to tell you, please have a close look at the screen. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but I have 5 journalists on the ground.
Who killed this man.
I have 5 journalists on the ground, so I'm not depending on any Ukrainian information. You listen to me, sir. Why don't you, Mr. Baranov, I listen to you. Why aren't you listening to me? Is it that you are conditioned not to listen to the other point of view? You have to listen to me. I'm telling you, you asked a question. I'm countering you straight here, right? Directly looking at you in the eye. I'm answering you. Yes, you said, which of your journalists is there? I say I have 5 journalists out there. And I'm showing on the screen right now my journalists pointing to the bodies, and don't tell me, allow me, Mr. Baranov, accept it, Mr. Baranov, accept it. The bodies have been seen. The atrocities have been seen by Indian journalists on the ground. Now tell me, if Republic Network's journalists have gone and seen the outrage, have I engineered the facts? Are the visuals manipulated by my network? I have Shawan Sen, Shazia, Mridul, Mr. Rawat, and Surinder Shah. I have 5 journalists on the ground in Bucha, but you will not believe me.
Does not know who killed this man.
I have 8 crew in Ukraine and 5 in Bucha.
And what in this package?
You don't want to accept it.
Please ask him to find relatives of these victims and to name names of these killed people. Then I'll believe you.
Okay. I have a question.
Dr. Lada is responding, please. I gave you my point, but you heard me. Before you come in, Dr. Lada, I want to tell you, Mr. Baranov, you asked me a question. I gave you a straight reply. You do not have an answer to me because I told you that it's my journalist on the ground. You now name one Russian journalist on the ground in Bucha who has given you your information.
Excuse me, one person.
No, you give me one journalist on the ground in Bucha who has given you your information.
We have a lot of correspondents working on there.
Who? Name one from Russia. Name one from Russia. Name one from Russia.
All this by their own eyes. They saw the street the day after our troops left this city, and no one corpse was on that street. They appeared only on the 3rd day. Why? Why? The simple question for you. Why?
Dr. Lada.
Yes, I have a simple question for everybody who is in an operative for the Kremlin in Russia or supporting Russia. If our person here speaking is saying the Russians are not doing it, perhaps we would like to have an explanation of why Russia will not comply with a no-fly zone. Because wouldn't that protect Russia against so-called false allegations of your presence and components of crimes against humanity and genocide? Let's be constructive here. Is that possible?
Nikita.
I don't know. You're saying the slogans, but not the information.
What slogan? I am inviting you to facilitate the creation of a no-fly zone and say that this is not going to be World War III. You will help save lives in Ukraine, and you will help save the reputation of your country. Can you do that?
Please answer.
Can you do that?
What?
No. Right?
My dear friend, I ask you again, and I ask Indian viewers, we see on the Ukrainian film that a dead man raises its hand because it lies too close to the Ukrainian tank, and he is in danger that tank will touch this hand. He takes it away. We have in the mirror, backside mirror, that another so-called dead man rises and goes away. Please explain me, what does it mean?
Okay, Mr. Baranov, I'd like to get Glenn Grant into the debate as well. Before you are saying that just 1 minute please. You are saying that all the people who are dead are all acting. You are saying that all the corpses that are seen are all actors, are all staged. And I am saying to you tonight that there are visuals that prick my conscience. There are details of the horrors we see in the images that are absolutely, Mr. Baranov, unimaginable. Unimaginable. We cannot jump hoops and be cagey about allow me to complete.
Can you show this film to your viewers? And they will see by themselves what is
You see,
going
Mr.
on.
Baranov,
And we'll solve
Mr.
this
Baranov,
discussion.
I don't know the source
It's
of
very
your
simple
films.
answer
I
for
don't
your-
know the
for your
source of
question.
your films. What is the source of your film? You have a film which you say shows that all the dead bodies are of actors. What is the source of your film, sir?
This is a Ukrainian film showed by Ukrainian TV, but they did it so unprofessionally that everybody, even not professionals, can see this strange situation.
Then I have. Can I ask you a question, Mr. Baranov? Before Mr. Baranov, one second. I'll tell you what cannot be a film. Just a minute, Mr. Baranov. See, Mr. Baranov, let us have some empathy here, and please allow me. In a children's camp in Bucha, there are 5 bodies. Most of them are of children. They are bearing signs of torture. The legs are short. There are bullets in their hearts and in their heads. I think you have to be a very good child actor to pretend to be dying with a hole in your head. Please do not. And please do not deny the fact the Russians lived there for a month. Did the Russians live there for a month? Nikita, tell me. Did the Russians live there for a month or not? Or will you tell me the Russians did not live in Bucha for a month? Did the Russians live there for a month? Did the Russians live there for a month? Did the Russians live there for a month? I just want to know. Or will you say the Russians never lived there? Did the Russians live in Bucha for a month?
No one Indian reporter who are going there and who are
How can you say that when I have just told you that 5 of my own reporters have been in Bucha? How can you utter falsehoods like that, Mr. Baranov? I will not accept that. 5 of my reporters have been in Bucha. Which Russian reporter has been in Bucha? What do you mean? 5 reporters have been in Bucha. We're not making this up. I want Colonel Glenn Grant to come into the debate. He's just, before I come to you, Nikita, Colonel Glenn Grant, the dismissal from the Russian side is that this is all acting, fakes, which have been put out.
Well, I mean, okay. I think that's really sad. And it's sad because when after the Russians pulled out, not only were there Ukrainian bodies on the ground, but there were actually Russian soldiers' bodies on the ground, some of which had been there not just for a day, having been shot by the Ukrainians as the Russians left, but actually having been there for some period of time and have been left there by their own unit mates. And to not take your own bodies away, for a start, is awful. But we're just focusing on Bucha. Let's just, if you just spread this wider, what's happening in Mariupol? Mariupol has been trashed. The center of Mariupol looks like Hiroshima. Now, that wasn't done by Ukrainians. That aircraft that you've just shown, the Antonov, that wasn't blown up by Ukrainians. And wherever you go around the countryside, you just see the trash of the destruction from the Russian forces. That wasn't done by Ukrainians. So we come back to Bucha. It's quite clear from the video, from the just the Facebook, that the sheer volume of things on Facebook as the Russians pulled out, and that you can see the Ukrainian soldiers moving forward, still worried they're going to be shot at, and seeing the bodies, and then they're writing what they see. And Facebook is full of this. Now, I'm sorry if Russians are not allowed to see Facebook anymore. I wish they could, because if they did see it, they would actually see what many of us saw immediately after the pullout, which was something bloody awful. I mean, horrible. And I'm sorry, but if Russians don't believe that Russian soldiers can do this, then I don't know where we go, because it means that the whole system is unable to accept the truth of what is going on. And you can go on forever trying to pretend that Ukrainians are good actors. Well, I'm sorry, the center of Mariupol, which looks like Hiroshima, was not a good act by Ukrainians. That's a good act by Russia, done using weapons to destroy the center of a major city. Okay? And do you want to go on? Every town around is being trashed by Russian missiles. For what purpose? For what purpose? There are dead bodies all over Ukraine. For what purpose? I ask my Russian colleague.
Me personally,
Yeah, you personally. You're in here defending
answer?
Russia. Now defend the center of the center of trashing of Mariupol.
May I
For what
answer?
purpose do you trash a major city?
Colonel Grant, let Nikita respond to you, please. Yes, Nikita.
Sir, please.
We
First of all,
we, the Russia, suggested
would you give me a chance to answer
peaceful
or not?
civilians to leave the city. And my Ukrainian colleague knows that very well. But the so-called fighters from battalions Aidar and other, this is the nationalist units of Ukrainian army, they didn't allow peaceful leave this city. Moreover, they use them as a shelter.
Oh, okay. So you're saying, no, okay. So your counter argument here is...
And these civilians say
the counter argument is that the Ukrainians did not leave, so they got killed. Too bad. That's the point you're making. You're saying the Ukrainians were given a choice to leave Bucha, but because they chose to stay on, they were killed. I'd like Nikita to come in right now. Viewers, there is an accountability that needs to be taken. If there has been a genocide of Ukrainian civilians, there are images of dead bodies in the highway near Kiev, and there are people who have been shot at through the eyes. I'd like to go across to Nikita, please. Nikita, people have been fired upon by tanks. Somebody has had their eyes shot at. Can I have Nikita, please? Thank you.
I will try to talk.
Please understand, there are charred dead bodies at the base of a tree trunk in Bucha. Now, are you telling me the burnt bodies are also actors? Be realistic, Nikita, for a minute. And can I have Patrick on the other side, please? Can I have Gabriel on the other side, please? My question, however, is to you, Nikita. Nikita, tell me 1 second, Nikita. Allow me to finish my short question to you. Andrei Baranov said this is all acting. Nobody has died. These are all actors. Actors dressed up. Tell me, does the actor also burn himself or herself? Let their body be charred, turn black, unidentifiable as part of the act. How much more denial will the Russians go through to simply defend themselves? Is dying an act? Is burning yourself an act? People are unrecognizable. This is spine-chilling. And what you're telling me is that the Ukrainians immolated themselves as part of an act? Nikita? People immolated themselves as part of an act?
Please give me a chance to talk. First of all, let's talk about facts, not opinions, but facts. Russian troops left this city at the March 31. Next, local major and Ukrainian police came to the city. It was 1st of April and 2nd of April. Also, there were journalists from the Kyiv. Nobody in these days gave any kind of information about dead bodies or any kind of crimes and killings. The situation changed only April 3, when to the city of Bucha came troops of National Guards of Ukraine. These people published on the internet few amateur videos where they discussed how they are going to clean the city. One of the officers of this troop publicly said, "You have a right to kill everybody who is not in Ukrainian uniform." It was said. It was published on the internet by the fighters of this group, Ukrainian group. And this day, 3rd and 4th April, they started to find dead bodies. When you look to the record of your journalist, you see how they do dead bodies, and how Ukrainians move them. You can ask any pathologist. Dead bodies which laid there for 5 or more days cannot look It cannot be moved like that because of the rigor mortis. The reason is that these people was killed later after Russian troops leave the city. These people were killed by the troop ruled by Sergei Korotkych, officer of Ukraine National Guard. He is a well-known racist who is wanted in a few post-Soviet countries for racial assaults. As just a criminal, he escaped to Ukraine and there he became a police officer. Of course, now we are dealing with
and thank you, Nikita. Nikita, two questions for you. Two questions for you, Nikita. One, may I, if I may. Gabriel is responding. I want to tell you one thing, just one thing. There is also, since you are saying it's all footage, there are bodies, and there is a dog sitting next to a dead man. Are you telling me that the dog is also acting? The dog is also part of the act?
Please.
No, I don't know what you're saying anymore. You know, do you believe yourself?
I didn't say a word about acting. I didn't say a word about acting.
But your other colleague, Mr. Baranov, said so.
Who killed these people?
And who's told you that? What's your source? What's your source? What's your no? Since 1 minute, Nikita, it's I'm asking you, Nikita. What's your source? You say this particular Ukrainian officer killed his own fellow Ukrainians. What's your source of your information? Please, would you like to share it with us?
As I said, my sources is official information.
Which official?
By Ukraine side.
Which official? Lada, is there an official? Lada is responding to you. No, Gabriel is which official?
Give me.
This is actually what we would like to know. Which official from the Ukrainian side is saying this to you? Because I know that the international community would immediately arrest this individual and the people who are working with you.
You should not invite me
why
here.
are you not listening?
If you don't want to hear real information, you shouldn't ask
Russian
me.
mines
Because
are the
I'm
reason
telling
that
you
it took so long for the reporters to get to the territory.
Again.
Russian playgrounds.
Okay. If you want to talk, please go.
Okay, so we can talk now. If you want to talk about why you have a certain set of rigor mortis, we'll talk about the rigor mortis because of the mines that are being found under the sand in playgrounds. And I'm sure that you're going to deny that today the Russian Federation purposefully bombed a nitric acid cistern. Are you going to deny that too? Because this is Ukrainians doing it to themselves because what? Really? What type of ethics do you have?
Please
these are
stop
satanic
repeating
ethics
this Ukraine propaganda.
Today. Really?
I give you a chance to speak, but please give me a chance to answer. First of all,
tell the truth for a change.
With one more military crime committed by Ukrainian side in Bucha.
Yeah.
By the way, we should mention that it was Russia who asked United Nations Council to discuss this crime.
I'd like to.
It was Great Britain who blocked our activity. Russia tried to give a fax to the world. But
what are you doing in Ukraine?
Nikita, you're just lying.
Okay, Gabriel is on the debate right now, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, as of now, we just got some news some time back here. You see, Nikita, Nikita, I say one thing to you, Nikita, and before you come in, Gabriel, I want to say one thing here. In previous programs, I have questioned the Americans point blank on the hypocrisies of their geostrategic policy. But let's look away from geostrategy here. Let's look at humanity. There are bodies lying on Yablonska Street in Bucha since the 11th of March. There is documentary evidence of that. The Russians were in control of Bucha. The Russians were in control of the town. The Russians were in control of the town. There are stories of repeated rapes and summary executions. repeated rapes and summary executions. I'm not talking about supermarkets being looted. I'm talking of something very serious. And as of tonight, Nikita, you need to understand this, that many people are beginning to believe. I said, you see, today tell me one country in the world, one country, name one country in the world today, Nikita. Nikita, name one country. Nikita, name one country in the world. Name one country in the world today, Nikita, apart from Russia, which is supporting you on Bucha. Name one. Name one country. Is even China supporting you on Bucha? Is even China saying it's fake news? You just tell me, name one country right here, right now.
We don't need support because we did nothing in Bucha.
Gabriel is on the debate. Gabriel Norona from Washington, please. Let's get Gabriel in. He's responding to you, Nikita.
Please give me a chance to
Thank
answer.
you. Thank you, Arnab.
You don't want to
thank you,
hear facts.
Thank you, Arnab. No, Nikita, this is my time. You've had plenty of time to talk, Nikita. Look, Nikita, I want you to go, if you're allowed to, if your country even allows you to go to the New York Times, go to the New York Times and read the article where it shows the satellite footage.
Ask to me, and then you will have a chance to talk. We are talking about journalist, Russian journalist who was in this city. It was a Russian correspondent Kotek who was there with Russian troops. He saw no kind of such facade.
And I tell you one thing, Nikita. Now I have to give Gabriel and others his turn. But I'd say one thing to you: if you say that your source is an embedded Russian journalist, embedded with the Russian forces, then good luck to you in appreciating the objectivity of that journalist. I'd go to Gabriel now. He's saying something to you. Gabriel is on the debate along with Michael Tracy from New York. Gabriel, please, yes. And Patrick Google hasn't spoken yet. Gabriel.
Arnab, you raised an incredibly important point, which is that we have seen satellite footage from Bucha from March 9th to March 11th, where you can see the bodies stacked in the streets. You can see them stacked in the streets. That is before the Ukrainian forces took back Bucha. That is while the Russians were in control of Bucha. We have incontrovertible proof that there were bodies lined up in the streets. That is not something that the Ukrainians could have done. That is only something that the Russian forces could have done. And I'll ask after I am done speaking for Nikita and Mr. Baranov to respond. Did the satellites fake the footage? Did the satellites put the bodies in the street? And have you seen the report? If you haven't seen the report, is it because Putin is banning you? Is it because they are banning Russians from allowing them to see the footage themselves? And why is the Russian government so scared that they won't even allow their own citizens to read news from the rest of the world? Maybe it's because the Russian government doesn't want their citizens to understand the great and reprehensible lies that and crimes that their soldiers have committed in Ukraine. And I don't know how Nikita and Mr. Baranov can look at the screen, look at the images of the dead bodies, the dead children in the sand, in these mass graves, and not just feel ashamed and sick of themselves. So I would ask them, how did this satellite footage come? How did Ukrainian soldiers plant dead bodies in the streets while it was under Russian control 3-4 weeks ago? That's impossible. I think Indian viewers are far smarter than this. Indian viewers know that for the last 30 minutes, the Russian guests have been lying to them, and that for the last 2 months, Vladimir Putin has been lying to them, and the Russian government has been lying to the whole world about everything that's going on. They said they wouldn't invade Ukraine. They said that was a hoax. They've said that the strikes they've committed on Ukraine are made up. They've said that the bodies lying in the streets are made up in plants. But we have incontrovertible proof now. And the world is smart enough to know that, and the world should understand that when Russians talk, they're simply lying. And they have to do a lot to atone for their sins and get the world to trust them again.
I just want to share with you that right now India is addressing at the UN Security Council. It's very, very significant that India has said we strongly condemn the Bucha killing, and India has called for an independent investigation into what has happened at Bucha, saying that we are deeply concerned. These are the words of the Indian envoy speaking as of now at the UN Security Council. Simultaneously, 10 Russian diplomats have been expelled from Romania. 33 Russian diplomats have been expelled now from Slovenia. This news came a few minutes back. And the European Union, Michael, has also declared 19 staffers of Russia's permanent mission as persona non grata.
Can I ask you how many diplomats?
Well, hey, I'm sorry. Can I?
Yes, please, Michael. Michael is speaking, please. Yes, Michael Tracy, go ahead, please. Michael and Patrick. Yes, Michael.
Thank you. One should not automatically discount claims of Russian atrocities or even genocide in Bucha. That shouldn't be discounted offhand, but nor should it be accepted at face value what Ukrainian government officials are saying about these or any other events taking place in the territory. And unfortunately, at least in the United States, which is the country I'm most familiar with, the media has been more than happy to simply parrot, as though it were verified fact, whatever any Ukraine government official says. And this notwithstanding the fact that Ukraine government officials have been engaged in a frantic lobbying offensive for the past 6 weeks to demand and cajole that the US government launch a no-fly zone, a military intervention in Ukraine on their behalf. So you have a warring party putting out a steady stream of propaganda. I'm not even saying propaganda as a pejorative. I'm just saying this is the messaging that they're putting out as a function of their intended public communications. You have a interested warring party putting out this information with a particular slant in accordance with their own interests. And the US media tends to just repeat it verbatim. I mean, on Sunday, one of the main TV shows for political discussion on the weekend, Face the Nation on CBS, was hosted by this woman, Margaret Brennan, and she flat out admitted that she was handed a montage of videos and images directly from Zelensky's advisors, and then she just broadcast them on CBS as though it were independently corroborated by
one sec. I don't know about the others, but I know my reporters are on the ground. We are reporting what we've seen. No, one sec. You're talking about everything as a handout. We haven't taken any handouts there. I'm talking about what our reporters on the ground have seen. I want to show you one set of pictures, and Michael, my counter question to you is, I want to show you sets of pictures with the body bags in the background next to the mass grave out there, and have a look at this. This was shot by Republic TV camera persons and Republic journalists there. That picture there that you're seeing of the mass grave, 4.5 meters deep, and next to the church, was shot by my camera persons. Mike, are you saying that's my reporter on the ground? Are you saying those in those bodies there, those body bags, inside the body bags there are actors? Are you saying that? Because I'm telling you, showing you my footage. There's no handout from the Ukrainian government.
I haven't suggested anything remotely like that. In fact, I agree with the clip that you just played of the Indian diplomat at the United Nations who called rightly for an independent investigation.
That's right.
Independent investigation about any aspect of this yet, and the conclusions are simply being propagated by the United States.
Okay.
Where we have a president, Joe Biden, who has explicitly called for regime change in Russia and is now saying that Putin must be put on trial for war crimes. Well, you know how that would have to be done if he were to.
She's responding to you. She's responding. Lara wants to come in again. Patrick Kugel hasn't spoken. But Dr. Lada is coming in. Here's Dr. Lada.
What kind of information is being
Dr. Lada on one side, Victor Gao on the other. Yes, please.
Sir, in New York, what you're doing right now is extremely dangerous for the United States, and maybe you're not aware of it, but your words and your repetitive of Russian myths is actually like the thing that Russia wants to hear in America, so that Americans start arguing. And if you are really serious about covering journalism and having some sort of verification, go get trained and go look and make your own photographs and videos of the deaths and the mass graves, which are not only in Bucha.
Ma'am, you accused me of
don't you dare
people. Who am I endangering?
Myths
and you also accused me of getting information from Russia, which is flatly false. You don't know where I get any information. I got information from a variety of sources, none of which are from the Russian state. So you're just a flat-out liar. You're a flat-out liar, and you say I'm repeating myths. You're repeating a myth that I'm endangering anyone. That's a total joke. Why don't you retract your slanderous comment? Retract your slanderous comment. Who am I endangering? Specify. Who am I endangering? You accuse me. Hello, host.
When you were
she accused me of
starting to
endangering
spur.
someone. Who am I endangering? She won't even specify.
You're endangering
That's total
the
slander because you have
citizens of the United
nothing.
States with
You have
your
nothing
rhetoric.
substantive to add because all you're doing is this emotional outburst that has no bearing on the facts because you can't process anything with any semblance of rationality.
After India,
which is common.
one minute. All major significant countries. Michael, this is important. Michael, this is very important. Michael, this is important. Let me come in, please. Please for a minute. Victor's not spoken. All major significant countries across the world are speaking at the UN Security Council. India was followed by China. Yes, Patrick. China said that the incident in Bucha images are very disturbing, and China said that the incident and causes must be verified and established. There's a Chinese envoy speaking right now. May I have Victor Gao and Patrick, please? Patrick wanted to say something here. Patrick, your thoughts on China's position? China has also said the factual conclusion should be drawn and should not resort to unfounded conclusion. That's what they've said. Patrick.
Patrick or Victor?
Who goes first, Victor or Patrick?
Let
Patrick go first. Victor, I'll come to you after that.
Start with thanking.
Yeah, allow me to make several points.
Let me
This is
start
Victor
with
Gao from
thanking to
Beijing.
Indian.
Let Patrick go first, Victor. I'll come to you after that, I promise. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, I'll be very quick. This is Victor Gao from Beijing. First of all, let us pause and pray for the souls of all those who died in Bucha. Civilians in particular, but also soldiers and officers, both on the Ukrainian side as well as on the Russian side. Secondly, war is brutal. Under any circumstance, Bucha should not be an exception. We witness the fierceness of the fighting on both sides, and for those reports of war crimes, etc., they need to be independently investigated. Now, depending on the outcome of independent and unbiased investigation, those confirmed war crimes should be punished. Now, another point is that even the US government now is saying even the confirmed war crimes do not automatically equate genocide. So this is very, very important. We need to be very clear on what is war crime, which need to be dealt with as crime, and what is genocide, which need to be dealt with as genocide. Emotionally charged outbursts of emotions normally would equate the two. We need to be very cool-headed and distinguish between war crimes on the one hand, if confirmed, and genocide on the other hand. Now, the final point I want to make for this section is that of crucial importance now is to de-escalate. Why? Because for all the heavy losses of the life in Bucha and anywhere else in Ukraine, they are very, very tragic. We need to be traumatized by this. However, any escalation of war in Ukraine will really create more deaths among the civilians in Ukraine. And we need to do whatever we can, not to escalate, but to de-escalate. De-escalate is the only right way forward to save more civilians in Ukraine from dying. Now, the other thing, allow me to emphasize, we also need to do whatever we can to make sure there is no spillover of the war or military operations from Ukraine to any other country. Because if it spills over to other countries, including, for example, to Poland or any other one, especially NATO member states, you are talking about potential escalation out of control from conventional war into unconventional.
Victor. Yeah, Victor, I want to go to Warsaw on this. I want Patrick to come in. Patrick's been waiting a long time. Yes, Patrick.
Thank you very much. I would like to start first by thanking to Indian independent media, including your station, and to your reporters, your journalists based in Ukraine, because you are doing a great job by documenting facts on the ground in Ukraine and taking this news to Indian viewers and across the globe. So I agree also with what your envoy said at the UN Security Council just now, that we need probably an international inquiry, an international commission to establish the facts beyond any doubt, to garner the evidence of what happened in Bucha and across Ukraine. and to prepare everything that is possible to take the perpetrators of these atrocities, to make them pay the price for what they done. And I think as Indian media are doing a great job, and India's government position is well known, I think India might be very important part of this international commission to establish facts, what happened in Ukraine. So I would encourage also, India to be more active and be part of any international inquiry that will be established to establish the facts.
I'm with you there, Patrick, on what were you showing? I have very limited time, but you were holding something up. Colonel Glenn Brown, Nikita, what are you showing? What are you holding up? Quickly, in 10 seconds, you're holding up something. What is that?
It is a record released by the National Guard of Ukraine. In this record, the officers of the Ukrainian troop in Bucha asking and discussing how they should kill people without Ukrainian uniform as the city. It was April the 3rd. The next day, they showed dead bodies of the city. They may call Indians or Russians be blamed in this murder.
Yeah, Colonel Grant.
It's absolutely
Colonel
sure.
Grant, 1 minute, please.
This was
Colonel
done
Grant.
by
Colonel Grant, please. Colonel Grant.
Right, the point that I would make very simply is that if Russia stops fighting, the war will stop. If Ukraine stops fighting, the killing will get worse. And that's a point that people need to understand.
Okay.
If
Russia stops, the war stops. Ukraine stops, more people die.
It is the only reason the war started. Ukraine.
Well, it's been 41 days. 41 days. I think there needs to be a multilateral conversation on ending the war. It can't be just the Russia-Ukraine conversation. That's not going to end it. I thank you all very much for joining me. And ladies and gentlemen, on the other side today, after China, we now see Russia is openly backing the Imran Khan administration. What does this mean? This means that there is a government in Pakistan that needs this side support or that side support. Whose Pakistan is it anyway? One thing is clear and evident to all of us tonight, clear as day. Pakistan is not the master of its own destiny anymore. Never has been, never will be perhaps on the other side.
In the latest Indian university rankings announced by QS, the